My name is HAYDEN WAYNE. I'm a composer librettist. Mona Toscano handed me the mantle. We've done 3 anthologies so far. Then COVID knocked us on our ass, and people have not been handing in the work, so there's a stall on the 4th, which could already be put together. So I say this Machiavellianly, guys, send in your work so we can do 4 and 5. Malcolm Gladwell said that it takes about 10,000 hours, working 18 hours a week to master something. I laughed. I work 18 hours a day. I started when I was 4 in utero. I was born into music. My father was a human anthology that you literally could not request anything he couldn't play from the International Songbook in any key. Rock and roll was born into me. And after 10 years of playing, when I ultimately realized I was not going to become a surgeon, and told my father I wanted to be a professional musician when I was 14, he had a conniption fit. Invective, 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 no way, invective, invective, but dad. Make a long story short, upon ultimately recognizing my resolve, he said, well, you're going to be a writer. That's where the money is. And you're going to have to be able to play everything. So I'd be in a Hasidic affair, I'd go do a Latin gig, I'd do a funeral. I mean, it was very ego boosting that I could have that eclecticism. But it was the writing aspect that became very important. And I say this long-windedly because what ultimately I discovered was that our work is nothing more than the documented proofs of our meditations. Shame on us not to document the discoveries of the cosmos. I've been doing what I do now for over 340,000 hours, and I'm just entering my sweet section. The dexterity is becoming so facile that in the month that you've last seen me, I put this together. This is a trilogy in process. I've managed to now formalize the first act, which has been languishing for a long time, first starting as a commedia dell'arte piece, and then a sci-fi trilogy that I had, this I'm talking about 45 years ago. And somehow the ethers happened. And ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest demonstration of craft is getting out of your own way. And it worked. And having the parental joy of taking languishing children and giving them purpose trebucheted me into the second act, which is, the trilogy is X, Y, Z, and I'm now in the middle of Y. But I'm going to read you something from X, and I'll read you something from Y. And our protagonist is out of his bloody mind, so we think, until ultimately he makes his ascent at the end of the first act, and he walks into a devastated rotunda of Grand Central Station with the iconic clock knocked on its side, and the wall of the entrance of the rotunda blown out. We go, I'm hoping, my God, he's lucid? Well, before he makes his ascent, he's been having these conversations with Flaminia on his cell phone. And his cell phone ringtone is post time. And every time it would happen, and the normalcy of how we respond wantingly or hating that the phone is wrong, he pulls it out and he goes through his interaction with his phone. But his phone is an orange can with string. So at a certain point in his anger, after he's taken us this amazing emotional ride, and he angrily pulls out his phone to answer it. He pulls the string further out from his pocket that he realizes And then upon recognizing, like that we see the folly, the call dropped. Oh my God, I've got to I've got to contact with a damsel in distress. Think, man, I've lost contact. Think. She's surrounded. I must break through the perimeter. But how? I'm here. She's there. That means we have to get out of here. Now, wait a second. Don't be rash. Rash? We're the only ones who can save her. She doesn't even know I exist. I'll tell her. You'll tell her? How long has this been going on? I thought you knew. There's a first time for everything, isn't there? Now don't start. You've heard of couples sleeping in separate beds, separate rooms? Well, we sleep in different houses, more like separate worlds. Are you talking about us or her? She doesn't even know you exist. I'll tell her. You'll tell her? How long has this been going on? You're not going to start that again, are you? I'm going to save her. You're going to save her? How about me? Why is it always about you? Okay, we're going to save her. Great. How? I got to find her first. We. Good thinking. How do you plan to do that? We'll look for her. Very clever. We have to go up to the second floor. We? What do you mean we? Isn't that what you want? What else are we going to do? She's surrounded by a whole group of rats as well, majestic hissy fissers. Excuse me? Majestic hissy. Who? She's in trouble. I'm going to need help. You're going to help me? Don't I always? Well, last time, you said you weren't going to bring that up. I only thought of it when you said I have to go up. What? To the second floor? We've already been through that. She's out there, up there, surrounded. Now, let me get this straight. You're going to go out there the way you're dressed? What's wrong with the way I'm dressed? You mean the way you're dressed? I'm dressed? What's wrong with the way I'm dressed? That's what I asked. I always dress this way. That's my point. And what about you? What happened to we? How do we expect to blend in? Sounds like a stealth operation. I was planning to bring an extra set of clothing. What about me? There you go again with this me stuff. You can't carry 2 sets of clothing and expect to be able to climb up. I'll carry one for the both of us. Oh, how considerate. Yes, we're going to climb up. It's the only way to the second floor. All the way up? I'm afraid of heights. Don't worry, I'll close my eyes. What about me? There you go again. We'll close our eyes. Don't worry, I won't let you fall. I hope so. You hope we'll fall? Why would you do that? You just said, I hope so. No, I hope I don't fall. Remember? We hope we don't fall. Hope has nothing to do with this. I don't believe in hope. I believe in visualizing the outcome and then making it happen. Sounds like a plan. So are you with me? Aren't I always? And then he starts his ascension. So we think he's absolutely schizophrenic and out of his bloody mind. Second act happens, and when the music comes in, the entr'acte music as we're entering the theater again, which is really a circular theater with a circular stage. And there's a cyclorama around it of LED lights. So as he was making his ascension, we get the sense of the ascension, and then we're in Grand Central Station. So now the second act, we're coming back, and this music starts in the dark, and it's almost, you hear this ping of an EKG, and it's springing around us. And in this dark, and it's as the orchestration's increasing, and it's in 5/4, and as it's increasing, as it's going around, we hear this voice, as I listen to my voice, and you hear this voice in the darkness, and she says, start your ascent. And we're coming back, and here we now are back in Grand Central, and here's our protagonist, who's this very charismatic, disheveled, larger than life, octogenarian, like Morgan Freeman. And he's standing there, and he starts to take off his rags, and he's naked before this gaping hole with the light coming through, and he's carrying this package. And he takes the package and he starts to put on this business suit, and the lights go out. And the next thing that happens in the darkness is a pin spot on this woman's face. And she sings this hymnal, and I'll just recite the words. Where is thy love to hold us in this space of quietude? Where are those words, kind words spoken, so to heal the blackest mood? And bathe us in love's presence when no one else is there, and life's specific purpose seems to vanish in the air. I, like many vessels cut adrift a storm-tossed sea, uncertain in the darkness of where I next will be, yearning for some tenderness to push me back to shore, where love to fill my wanting sails, to carry me once more. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come now, come now, come to me. How many times I've read that sacred book all the way through and tucked myself alone in bed that's large enough for two, and wondered why, and wondered how, and wondered what, when, each moment an eternity to only start again. How deep this brooding hollow, so etched within my heart. How loud this growing silence that keeps us so apart. And yet even in this solitude, when I think to make you smile, no matter how bleak the moment, the light carries me a while. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come now, come to me. Where will we go? What will we do when this day is done? To fill this emptiness that grows when there's not anyone. Though we are distant travelers, in tandem sets us free. You will learn it always was that we were meant to be. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come to me. Come now, come to me. Come now, come to me. And the light expands on her, and we see that she's a homeless person and adores well. And she starts speaking in this conversation of what's going on, and inevitably through the monologue that's ensuing, it opens up and we realize now she's in this ward, and there's only two people in this opera, and she's alone on stage, and she peels herself, as she said, that she managed to get the job, and she's in a custodial outfit, and she's mopping the floors, and she's in a ward of comatose where they farm organs, and they're all brain dead. But this one particular individual who we recognize she's addressing, his pupils still dilate. He's not brain dead. And the only reason his organs have not been farmed is because he has a very unusual blood type. And she takes it upon herself, she's got to get him out of here. He says, normally the bodies would go back to the donors. These are the unknown. Whatever remains will be thrown in the garbage. He says, I have to get you out of here. He says, I love to read. I know I've heard stories of people being talked out of this maze to finally find a way to get out of their comatose state. Hear me. Listen to my voice. Listen, and it goes on, blah, blah, blah. And then finally that scene ends where she goes, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen, she's talking when the lights go out, and that finishes the scene. But you see what's happening now, the trebuchet of X into Y, and all of this madness. Is that a distortion of consciousness while she's trying to pull him into consciousness, and where we're ultimately going to be pushed into Z, which is utopia. And I'm in the middle of this right now. So without further ado, thank you. I want you all to come through the power of the Word. It says that in Scripture too. First there was the Word. Well, the Word is everything, and as long as we still have the powers to demonstrate it as individuals, whether between our ears in silence, seeming silence, or within an audience, you are all welcome. Please come. Peace.
Thank you, Hayden.